Well, hello everyone. Welcome to the very first series of Saturn through houses. And today we're going to be doing Saturn in the first house. I kind of look like Wolverine today with my hair, huh? So, Saturn in the first house. What happens when Saturn is in your first house? First of all, what is Saturn? Saturn is discipline. Saturn is order. Saturn is law. Saturn is mature and older things. Saturn is discipline. And what is ascendant? Ascendant is your entire life. Saturn represents the things that you will experience in this life, your personality, your body shape, body type. It represents the way you interact with others through your ascendant. Okay. So what happens when Saturn comes into this house, where Saturn is, it's okay. He's not really pleased being here. But here in the first house, what it does, especially as a child, these people tend to be far more mature than their, other childhood friends. These people, these little people as kids are very disciplined. Like they're very serious minded. Like when they take up a responsibility to study or do their homework, they're going to make sure that they do their homework first and then they'll go out and play. Then they'll go out and play video games. So what it does, these people kind of feel that their childhood was deprived only if you look at it from outside. If you look at their life, you'll be like, oh my God, they lived a very miserable life because they were very disciplined. However, inside of them, that's how they like to be. They want to be disciplined. They want to be orderly. Okay. And what happens with this placement is that these people strive for discipline. Like they're disciplined about everything. No matter what the circumstances are, they're going to make sure that they do what they're supposed to do. Now, obviously, this can be a complete opposite reaction if Saturn is debilitated in the sign of Aries. But we're just talking about the first house. So Saturn can be exaled, it can be neutral, it can be in its own house, or it can be debilitated. That alters these things. But just in the first house, it brings discipline into the personality. These people are very law-abiding, and they're very conducive about following law and order. So this is why these people make very good lawyers and judges. I mean, if you want a lawyer and a judge, this first house is a very good person to deal with in terms of legal issues. Okay, these people are very fair because Saturn is a judge. He wants to be fair. He wants to punish you according to your deeds. And this is why the personality is all about judging things. They judge people, they judge situations. So if you were to put them in a law, especially with Capricorn ascendant or Libra ascendant, one of the most fierce judge and lawyers, very well-respected judge and lawyers out in the community. Now, in Vedic astrology, Saturn has three aspects. It aspects the third house from where he sits. He aspects the seventh house from where he sits, directly opposite. And he aspects the 10th house from where he sits. Okay? So when you have Saturn in the ascendant, the first house, most astrologers tell you, oh, that's it. Your marriage is done and forget about marriage. And why I say this? Because I have taken a couple of my friends and relatives to see other astrologers back in my early days, and that's what they said. And guess what? They are living a happy life. They've been married for 4 years now. And, so this is why I know what I tell you is what I've experienced. So this is what people say. But what happens with Saturn in the first house, when it aspects the 7th house of marriage, it shows a very loyal and very faithful marriage. But why is it that people say the marriage is not going to be good? Well, what happens is it takes away the fun from the marriage and brings order, discipline, and duty onto your marriage. Not only this, these people tend to marry partners who are far more mature in age with them and far more mature mentally with them, because that's what Saturn wants. It wants to communicate with somebody who has their mentality of discipline, their type of orderly, fashion of doing things. They want somebody so they usually get somebody who's older and mature. And what happens when it's older and mature, the youthfulness in a marriage is gone. You know, like how as a young couple, you go to clubs, you go to out and eat, you still party and get drunk with your friends, even though you're a young couple. These people tend to marry for uh, for certain reasons, for a duty, that they're old enough now, because these people tend to marry late in the life, okay? And when they marry somebody older who has already gone through the whole youthfulness in their life. So now the marriage is about, okay, we're married, all right, let's have kids, all right, we got to raise our kids, okay, got to pay the bills, okay, got to raise a family now. So that the duty and the responsibility comes upon them. But does that mean their life is going to be dry and bleak and they're not going to be able to enjoy anything? Of course not. You don't. This is a broad picture of Saturn. But in the little moments when you're cooking, your wife is cooking, or you as a wife is cooking, your husband can come and help, and those are the little moments you enjoy. You can go to movies together. You take your kids to Disneyland. Come on, don't tell me somebody with the Saturn in the ascendant will not take their kids to Disneyland. Of course they will. Okay, but it just brings very sensible maturity into the partnership. Like, these people relate on a far more mature level than their friends, and their friends too tend to be mature just like them. They only make friends with people who are either mature mentally or mature in age. Okay, now Saturn, as I said, looks at the third place from itself, which is the third house of siblings, mental discipline, short distance travel. So what happens is it gives a very disciplined relationship with the siblings. Either you will not have younger siblings, because third house is a house of younger siblings. Its third aspects kind of denies that you might have a younger sibling. But when you have siblings, you will have a very disciplined relationship with them. You will feel very stressed regarding them, and it'll be a relationship where you, as a Saturn in the ascendant, is giving a lot to the relationship, but those people who are your siblings are not going to return that favor, and you'll feel alone. You'll feel isolated, like, I do everything for everybody and nobody does anything for me. Now, Saturn aspects the 10th house from the first house, meaning the 10th house of career. These people are very disciplined and orderly when it comes to their career. Okay, these people, and Saturn, remember, Saturn represents iron, steel, mechanical jobs. So if Saturn is debilitated, these people will be doing a lot of labor work, whether it's working in a back storage of a retail store, or, you know, there's India, they push those little carts and things, and people who have routine jobs. See, Saturn in the ascendant, these people like to have their routine in their life. They want to wake up, they know they're going to go to their work at 9 o'clock, and they know all they have to do is just push this machine, these two buttons, all day long. Tuck, 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 tuck. Or they have to just type this, do the data entry and type these things onto the thing, and that's their routine. They don't want to be surprised. So with this placement, a salesman job will be quite hard for these people, because that profession is very unpredictable. One day you might sell a $10,000 deal, the next 5 days you might not sell anything, and they don't like that. Their mental stability goes, you know, kind of haywire with this. But with Saturn aspects the 10th house, leadership roles, because Saturn is a leader. Okay, leadership, law and order, meaning attorney, law. Okay, politics, mechanical, meaning engineering jobs, mechanical jobs. For Libra ascendant, it can actually show somebody who's a dentist, because 10th house is controlled by Moon, Cancer, which is about taking care of people. Saturn represents teeth and mechanical things in the ascendant. And so what happens is, what is a dentist? He's a mechanical guy who goes into you and does his medical thing with using his mechanical skills. So becomes a dentist. Okay, but however, these people strive for a leadership role. But when they strive for a leadership role, they will bring a lot of discipline and order in their workplace. Like, these will be the bosses that you may not like. Like, when you come in the morning, you'll be like, oh my God, I have to deal with him now, because he wants to be there on time. He wants you to do your work till the last second. If these people become professors, they're not, you know, like how some professors, especially I have professors who let us go early, and we're like, yes, Friday, let us go early. God, I hope this week that happens. But these people will be like, no, you're staying till that last second, because the half an hour that we have left, you guys can do your homework. Okay, so these people become those just everything is about discipline, order, and law in their life, no matter what they do. Everything has to be ordered. Everything has to be everything has to be arranged according to their mental stability. Okay, so this is what happens with Saturn in the first house. So, guys, this was my analysis of Saturn in the first house. If you're new to my channel, subscribe above. And if you want to know more about your placement of Saturn, to see where your Saturn is placed on other planets, so you can come back and watch these series and learn more about true astrology, check out the link below. Check out my book, The Astrology at the Speed of Light. And once you get the book, I will send you the link to look at your own chart and your own placements. Just make sure you follow the directions below on the website. Otherwise, see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.